What is up, folks? We are back. Myself, Mr. Chris Stonage, and Mr. Steve Bland, and we're going to take you through, firstly, our thoughts on the game against Atletico last night, and then we'll have a little look ahead to the Merseyside derby. I mean, gents, there is a lot to go through, but Steve, were you in any doubt when it went to 2-2? What the script was going to show? What was going to happen?
You know, I actually wrote a message for Twitter saying like, "Don't worry, we always score" or something, and then I deleted it because I was like, "That's a dickhead thing to write." And then like a minute later, we scored. It's just, it's becoming a bit bonkers, and there's a lad I know who's a big City fan. And he's like, "Oh, you guys are so lucky, aren't you?" And I said, "Well, it can't be lucky if it happens 5 times on the trot." It's a funny one. It's not. There's an element of fortune, but then lucky is completely the wrong word. I think it's just not the right word. It's we keep going when the other team's dropping off, and it shows a great deal about our character, I think.
And what about yourself, Chris, last night? Had you any doubts when they pulled it back to 2-2? Because it was a little bit of a fortunate goal, and we'll get stuck into that in a minute, but were you still a believer?
To be honest, no. Just because of what these guys have done to us before 5 years ago, I was thinking, oh God, history's repeating itself. I was saying, me and my missus were sat on the sofa watching it. We were saying, look, we were so good. And then as soon as the subs were made, didn't work. But as soon as the goal went, I just started laughing. It was so funny. Like it's just every single time you can feel the piss get to boiling temperature across the nation. It's just brilliant, mate. Well, maybe next time I will be a believer because we just keep defying the odds.
I have to say, for me, last night I was a believer, but the Burnley game, that was the one for me. I was like, no, we're not getting anything from this one. But
the Burnley one, I said to my brother-in-law, I was watching it with him, I said, we're going to score now. As soon as they get a man sent off, I was like, there is no way we're not scoring here. There is no way we're not scoring. And it was, slightly, fortuitous, I guess, in the way it came about. But I just didn't see a way that we weren't going to win that game. But yeah.
On that, I wanted to just ask Steve, before we'll break down Isak, we'll go to the referee and a few other things, but I want to just ask, would you agree that that was by far and away our best performance so far this season?
I would definitely agree. I think that particularly first half, I will caveat that a little by saying that I don't think the previous performances have been as bad as the kind of media and the, like Ferrari would have you believe. It isn't like we're snatching a win from the jaws of defeat. We're getting bossed for 90 minutes and nicking a winner at the end. The Bournemouth game, 2 up, we should have put it to bed. That game last night, we should have put it to bed. Burnley, we had so many chances. Arsenal was pretty nip and tuck, and Newcastle's probably the only one, where we were probably, didn't really deserve to win, maybe. But the other ones, I feel we've been better than probably people give us credit for. It's not, like I say, it's not like we're getting bossed and they're nicking it. That said, last night, particularly first half, was kind of how we want to be starting games, wasn't it? Particularly the first 10, obviously getting the first 2 goals. And I really thought we'd go on from there and nick another couple and, go on to kind of boss it and win 4 or 5. That's kind of where I was after 10 minutes. But just little fragilities were getting done a little bit on the break, on the transition a little bit, where we're leaving. Again, we've talked about it on this podcast before. Just occasionally our centre halves are getting exposed without enough protection in midfield. I absolutely love Ryan Gravenberch, by the way. He's having a hell of a season, but I just wonder if it's in the manager's mind occasionally if he would like someone a bit more defensive minded in there. But that said, I think we, I think the scoreline flattered them a little bit. It felt like we're more, we're a lot more in control than it suggests to get a last minute winner.
You know what I struggled with, Chris, last night was trying to be critical of the goals that we conceded. Because normally I'll moan and I'll say this happened, that happened. Particularly on their first one, I actually thought that was a really clever move from Atletico. That third man run that just opened up our defence. I thought I just had to just nod and say, yeah, fair play with that one.
Yeah, lucky finish, by the way. Still got deflection and all that. Went past Alisson. But yeah, I do have to agree. There was elements of fortune to both of their goals and also good elements too. The second goal, I thought we didn't really get out to them quick enough when we lost the ball. That was a big sort of feature of that sort of period of the game. It didn't feel like we really had the level of intensity that we had, obviously, for the first 45 to 60 minutes, which is fine. And that bloody Llorente, like, can you just leave us alone?
But his dog called Anfield, is that
what
true?
problem? What problem has he got?
Anfield.
What problem has he got, man? He just rocks up at Anfield and decides to turn into this incredible, and that golf swing celebration really got in my head. But apart from that, we defended well. I do agree with Steve that sometimes potentially they've been exposed. I don't think that's particularly Gravenberch's fault, by the way, always. But there is elements of which he could improve on that. But as he said, what a performance!
I don't think Gravenberch. I don't think it's his fault in the sense of he's doing things wrong. I just think there are some goals we've conceded this year where, if go back a few years, if we had Fabinho playing in that number 6 position, we wouldn't have conceded them. He was like a proper defender of the back four, wasn't he? Like he just mopped up everything, and you probably lost a little bit going the other way, which you get with Gravenberch. But yeah, just occasionally, it's just in my mind that I wouldn't mind a bit more protection for the centre halves.
What really stood out to me last night, and my favourite aspect of the whole game, was the intensity and the press. That was almost peak Jurgen Klopp levels of pressing. And we always knew, Steve, that the manager took a lot from the games against Paris Saint-Germain, a lot of admiration for the way that they play and the aggression and the intensity they brought to the game. That last night, to me, was the best level of intensity and pressing I've seen from us this season by a long way.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was all there, particularly, like I said, first half, wasn't it? It was all, until maybe the last couple of kicks that, were kind of game changers in a sense, weren't they? But yeah, definitely. Like we said, it was a hallmark even going back, before Jurgen Klopp. I can remember, 05 Juventus, absolutely ripping into them from the first minute. That was kind of the motto last night, wasn't it? Like, get after them and early on, and the 2 goals, and then you just wanted them just to kick on and you go and push it home, and they sort of did what they've done when they've been 2 up against Newcastle, against Bournemouth. Just not push it home, sit off a little bit rather than really go for the jugular. So yeah, definitely the best performance of the season. Well, first half especially. We'll come on to it. Some individuals as well. I thought Wirtz, it was probably the best I thought he's looked. He's getting better and better and better every game. And yeah, good to see Isak up there as well.
So on Isak, Chris, what are your first impressions of seeing him, 1, out there, and 2, I guess, in a Liverpool shirt?
Well, it was lovely to see him in a Liverpool shirt. We've seen enough Photoshop edits over the last 3 or 4 months. I think Crosby's responsible for half of them. Yeah, he looked really sharp, didn't he? I was not expecting anything, to be honest, from the fact that he's had no preseason. He's had no real level of training, but the fact that he had, 60 minutes and looked pretty sharp for the first 40 of them, it is really, really impressive. Couple of really nice, turns and shots, linked up really well with Wirtz. I thought Wirtz actually probably lost a bit when Isak went off, because there wasn't that man ahead of him. But yeah, I thought, it's really good signs. I to be honest, I'm a little bit worried about the Merseyside derby on Saturday, as whether Tarkowski fancies a bit of his ankle. But apart from that, yeah, he was really impressive.
For me, Steve, I was fascinated by the difference of the way our 2 centre forwards played the role. So we had obviously 60 minutes or 55 minutes of Isak before Hugo Ekitike came on. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on the different options now that Arsenal will have with those guys.
There are differences, aren't there? Ekitike, like straight away wanted to run the channels a bit more, didn't he? Wanted to, he was a like constant like moving target, whereas I felt Isak is a bit more of a focal point. It's a really interesting situation, isn't it? I heard somebody talking on one of the BBC podcasts. It was Julian Laurent, and he was asked, like, what do you think like Ekitike would have signed for Liverpool, if he'd known what was coming? And he said he didn't think he would have done. And it's a really interesting situation now they all find themselves in, particularly, Ekitike, where he probably isn't a guy coming off the left, is he? Like, we've got Gakpo is kind of nailed down for that position. You'd feel pretty harsh on him if that's what happened. Whether or not he shoves, Wirtz over there like he did in the game yesterday, and then plays the two of them, probably feeling at the moment that they're a bit too similar. Because there are different options, but you can see why Newcastle had it in their mind that he might replace Isak, can't you? There's a lot of similarities there.
I think, if I remember correctly, Chris, the recruitment team said that he was basically statistically Alexander Isak 2.0, and I think he had some of the highest XGs or the highest chance creation of other strikers around Europe, Ekitike, before he came in. And what was your thoughts on the difference of the way the two boys played up top?
Yeah, I completely agree with Steve in the fact that the movement Ekitike has is so much different to Isak in that regard. I think Ekitike is a lot more willing to drop deep and pick up the ball, hold off man. Isak's more, getting in behind, finding chances. I actually think there is a world. I don't know whether we have gone past the era of having two strikers now. I don't know whether that is completely gone out the window, but I actually think Ekitike could play as a 10. There is a world in which he could, play in that role because he loves to receive the ball with the back to goal and move it wide. I'd like to see them play together. I think it'd be fun. Whether it be functional, I'm not sure.
So I'm going to maybe be a little bit controversial here and move on to speak about Wirtz and say that, one, I think you're seeing improvements there, Steve, every single week with Wirtz. But I have to say, I actually enjoyed his little 10-minute cameo out on the left-hand side because I think it gave him a little bit more space to operate and a little bit more ability to take his man on.
Yeah, that's what I thought straight away. As soon as he moved over there, you could tell straight away. It was almost like he could breathe a little bit. Like, it's so congested in that midfield, particularly some of the teams he played against: Newcastle, Bournemouth, Arsenal. The game last night, Burnley as well. Put everyone behind the ball, 2 banks of 4 right in front of your 18-yard box. There isn't an awful lot of room for a player like him to operate. And I think when you do push him out wide, all of a sudden it looked like he got 10 yards of space before a player was coming to him to close him down. And I'm not against it. I mean, I won't profess to be a Florian Wirtz expert, but I think I'm right in saying he played off the left a fair bit for Leverkusen. And it's definitely an option. It's definitely an option. But then you come back to, is it a better option than having Cody Gakpo off the left? And probably...
Here's where I'm going to jump in and go. The reason that I'm pushing it is because I can't drop McAllister or Szoboszlai, Steve. I can't take them out of that midfield because they're both brilliant. And I'm being greedy here and trying to find a way to get everybody out there.
Yeah. I will probably say that there isn't a way to do that, because I would add Cody Gakpo into that list of players that I want out there. He's been that good in the first 5 games of the season. So look, these are all great problems to have, aren't they? Really, really, really good issues to have. And that over the course of a 60-game season, no one, everyone's not going to stay fit. You're going to have to rotate. You're going to have to rest. The games are going to come thick and fast. You're going to get 6 games in 2.5 weeks at some points, aren't you? Particularly going January, December going into January. Everybody's going to get their game time. Robbo talked about it in the post-match interview, didn't he? He said that he was under pressure and he thought, should I leave? But then he thought, well, no, I'll get enough game time because there are that many games. If we go deep in every comp, there are that many games. So yeah, I wouldn't think anybody is too concerned about having too much talent just yet. For
yourself, Chris, do you think maybe now that Isak is in and he has the British transfer record fee, do you think maybe this takes away some of the narrative or the pressure that maybe Florian Wirtz was feeling or seeing put on his shoulders in the media, and certainly with opposition club fans as well?
Probably not. No, I think they'll both have, hater accounts, set up, slander names created. they will be, forever spread and wide, because obviously, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. He's a player Liverpool haven't spent this amount of money before. Even Arne Slot came out before the match and said, the amount of pressure that's on his new signings because of the narrative that is being pushed, that we've spent all of this money and we've no one's talking about the fact that we've recouped £300 million worth of talent.
On that, Chris, sorry to put across you, but I have an interesting point on that. I love watching Back Pages tonight on Sky. I watch it every night, and if I don't, I record it. So I was watching it, and a lady on, I can't remember her name, from TalkSport, and they put that point to her that you just said, Chris, about Arne Slot being prickly or defensive about the spend. And not once on the show did they bring up why Arne Slot was prickly about it because of the money that we've brought in. They never bring that up once. They just kept focusing on him being prickly about it.
Well, exactly, because that's clearly the thing that's going to sell stories, isn't it? And I understand, from a media perspective why they're doing that, and from a tabloid perspective why they're doing that. But from our perspective, like, okay, we've actually sold quite a lot of, really, really talented footballers here. And before the season, a lot of people were saying, have we left ourselves short? And now we're talking about the fact that we've got a dearth of talent, which is a pretty good problem to have. So yeah, I'm not too worried.
The interesting thing is, there aren't enough goals and assists for everyone to have individually what we think everyone should have, right? There aren't. So we think well, I don't think there are. There aren't enough goals for Isak to get 20, Ekitike to get 20, Salah to get 20, Wirtz to get 20 assists, Salah to get 15 assists. Like, there just aren't the goals and assists to go around. Like, that's not going to happen. So what we're all going to have to do, this isn't just Liverpool fans, this is everybody watching Liverpool this season, is going to have to understand that the result, it should be a better team where they might share the goals around a little bit more. You might not get a 25, 30 goal, striker out of it, or Wirtz might not get 20 assists and 10 goals, 15 goals. But the sum total of all this talent we've got is going to make it a brilliant team. And I think that's the narrative of each individual. Are they as good as we thought they'd be, or are they getting the numbers that 100 million or a 90 million or 125 million pound player should get? Well, they're probably not going to individually, but because there's another guy that's already in the team who takes all the penalties, who scores 30 goals a season every season. So there's going to have to be a bit of an understanding of football being a bit of a bigger picture than just one person's individual numbers.
I think Slot said that, didn't he?
The whole point, wasn't it? That was the point of why we brought these guys in, as Steve has said, to just take the pressure off. So we're not having 52% of our goal contributions coming from one man.
And Slot said that about Wirtz, didn't he? He said, with the whole pressure on him, he said, well, he's won all of his matches. Like, that's all he wants. And that's all we want to do as a football club, is win matches. Doesn't matter by hook or by crook. You've got three old guys scoring, one game. You've got Dom Szoboszlai scoring a top bins free kick. I don't care who scores. It could be Endo. Well, I do care. I hope it's Joe Gomez. But like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, does it? It's Liverpool winning matches. And obviously there's a lot of narratives to be created. But for us, all that matters is the 3 points at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. And there was Joe Gomez was sitting there last night going, what can I have that type of Andy Robertson goal? When's my one of those coming? Because that's probably what's going to take.
No, he's going to hit one.
You're not going to get me to say this very often, because I'm a very opinionated person on referees, but I thought he was absolutely exceptional last night, that referee, for one reason: consistency. He let everything go, and you knew that he was going to let the physical stuff go. And I felt the game flowed for it. And I'm always critical of refs when they deserve to be criticised. So I don't want to be a hypocrite. Yeah. I thought he was brilliant last night.
He was excellent. And I think, before we record this podcast, you sent around a list of questions and, have a little think about them. And when I saw the thing about the ref, I thought, actually, I didn't even really notice him almost. Like, that's the kind of best thing about a ref, when you don't notice them. They're just making the right decisions all the time. He looked like he was happy to put an arm around a player, have a laugh with a player. He obviously got the penalty wrong, didn't he, when he gave a handball? But I wonder if that was the assistant. But obviously that VAR working the way it should do, and that was overturned. Yeah. Just, you're right. I mean, it's right, isn't it, that we should give him credit when when there's a good performance, because we're quick enough to get stuck into them when it's not.
For me, Chris, it just came to that one word: consistency. And he set the tone early by letting a couple of niggly little challenges go on our players. And I just thought, well, right, if you're going to do this right across the board, I think the game will be all the better for it. And it was.
Well, it was, wasn't it? I think the one thing, and Timmy only said it after the game, I think we all were thinking it, what a game it was. It was a really, really entertaining game of football. And the referee has his part to play in that. You can't be, we don't want to see bitty games. We don't want to see games that are being, frustrated, people being frustrated to watch them. I just don't, for me, the main thing about refs, as you said, and as we all say, is consistency, and also the manner in which they treat people. Just because they're in a position of authority doesn't mean that you can't have that little joke. You can't have the sort of calmness around the pitch that I think some referees do get above their station, and it feels frustrating because they become hateable. But I think the referee last night did really, really well.
So I've got 3 players that I want to single out for praise, and I'm going to let you guys pick which one you'd like to talk about. So Salah, Gravenberch, or Szoboszlai, Steve, which one would you like to praise for last night?
Well, I'll take Mo Salah then, because it turns
that
out
low-hanging fruit, Steve. Good man.
I mean, listen, it turns out that he's actually quite good at football, isn't it? I mean, the criticism he's been getting the last 4 or 5 weeks has been absolutely bonkers, like just absolutely ridiculous. Like, anybody that's watched him for the last however many years, 8 years he's been at Liverpool, he does have these little spells. He does have games when he does nothing and then he scores a goal. He scored 3 in the first 5. He's an absolute fixture in the team because every manager knows that he's always a threat. And if a team puts 2 men on him, that opens up a space for somebody else. And anybody that's watched him won't have had the slightest bit of concern, about his performances coming back and the goals coming back. His work rate is always fantastic, and just really pleased that second goal, his first goal, his goal, was typical him, wasn't it? You get a little give and go, like using all the power he's got. He's a strong little fella, using all that power, and then that finish is just complete trademark, isn't it? So, buzzing for him to score a goal that was a proper him goal. The penalty and the one against Bournemouth was a bit different, wasn't it? But that was a proper old school Mo Salah goal.
I agree 100%. Chris, I'll give you the choice of Gravenberch or Dominic Szoboszlai. Who you want to praise?
That is difficult. I'd say Gravenberch because ever since he's come to the club, I just think that it was evident of his quality. It was just how we were going to find it. And it's probably not the way we ever thought we were going to find his quality, was in defensive midfield. I said it last week and I'll say it again. He's becoming this incredible hybrid of Fabinho and Thiago that I think is can you get a more perfect combination of footballer?
That's a beautiful footballer, isn't it?
Exactly.
Wow.
Talk those legs, talk about chipping balls over people's heads, pinging passes, winning the ball, everything you want. These last 3-4 matches, can you I just haven't got any words. Like, some people are going absolutely crazy, and I'm happy to jump on the train. When's he winning the Ballon d'Or? When's it happening? It's got to happen soon, right?
Well,
it reminds me of Patrick Vieira.
That's the scary thing.
It reminds me of Patrick Vieira. Do you know Patrick Vieira? The way he carries the ball, like really long legs, seems to eat up the ground really quickly. He goes past people like they're not there. Vieira used to do that. He used to sit in front of the back four with Petit, break it up, and then he'd just cover like centre circle to opposition box in about 4 steps. He'd pass me well before you knew it, and he has that kind of graceful, like loping kind of style, doesn't he? I mean, what a player! And he's a baby still, isn't he? In like his early 20s, he's only going to get better, particularly as he learns that role more and more.
Chris, what about that little bit of physicality in the middle of the park when somebody tried to come on and he just bumped them off and like, get away from me, just get away.
Amazing. And it really makes you smile, doesn't it? Because we've been used to in previous, and I'm not insulting these midfielders at all, but functional midfielders, when you've got a player who has got the ability to put their legs in and then dribble the ball out, chip the ball over people's heads, as I mentioned, and just ping a ball around. It's beautiful to see. And I can only see him getting better, because as long as he doesn't get injured, touch wood, there's only going up for him. He's 23. Like, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Scary. So I get the pleasure then of talking about Dominic Szoboszlai, who, well, he's got shades of Stevie G about him now, lads, and he can play anywhere. You can play him at right back, you can play him in a 10, you can play him on the wing, you can play him in the middle. He looks good doing it, and I have to say, he really suits the new shirt as well. I think what sums him up was the run to cover at left back late in the game, where he sprinted 30, 40 yards right back to help out. He's undroppable for me at the minute, and this is the player that perhaps Steve maybe took a season to settle in a little bit to get to the levels, but right now he's undroppable, dude.
No, I totally agree. I completely agree. He's exactly what I love in a footballer. He can do everything, can't he? Like, it is a range of long range passing is ridiculous. He hits. I should score more goals, I think, given how sweetly he strikes a ball. His engine is unbelievable. His positional sense, his ability to play, different positions. I've seen him come off the left of a front three for Hungary. He can play as a 6, as an 8, as a 10, either side. He could probably play as a false 9 if you asked him. He can play right back. Could probably play left back. I'm sure he could play centre half as well. If he's half decent in goal, he might just be the ultimate footballer. He is, and he's what is he, only 24, 25? Like, he's only getting better as well. Like, we've got these lads at absolutely the perfect time, and they're just going to grow into like just the perfect midfield. And I'm with you. He is undroppable. I think he's a big issue for those boys at right back. I think because McAllister and Gravenberch, I think are pretty much in that similar category. If you couldn't, if they're all fit and firing, they're in our first choice 11. So you're looking at shoehorning somebody in somewhere, and I loved him at right back. Thought he was ace.
He was interesting there for sure. Certainly shut me up because I didn't think he could do it. But a little bit, Chris, on Rio Ingamoa, 15 minutes of Champions League action. It felt like he was under instruction to be safe when he came on, because he didn't go around the outside much. He kept checking in, protecting the ball, which is important. But it was lovely to see him get those few minutes.
Yeah, I think after that goal at Newcastle, I think he's earned another level of trust, because that was such an elite, under a moment of significant pressure, that goal, it's shown that he can do it in whatever circumstance, because you're not going to get much higher pressure than that. It looks like the manager really, really trusts him. Obviously, in the Champions League, we're not going to see Federico Chiesa come off the bench. So it's going to be really important for Rio to get these minutes. And the fact that, we were drawing as well. He's not getting 15 pity minutes when we're 5-0 up. Like, he's being thrown on to go and change the game. I thought he looked really good again, taking players on. As you did say, Craig, I do agree. I wonder whether it was a sort of a ploy to try and maybe get more aerial balls in the box with Ekitike there, get balls checked back to Robertson and things like that. But look, I was really impressed again.
I think he came on when we were 2-1 up. I think, if my memory's right, I think Atleti scored just a minute or two after he came on. But I want to look ahead to the Merseyside derby at the weekend, gentlemen. And the first conversational topic, Steve, I'd have is Andy Robertson or Milos Kerkez at left back.
Oh, well, I've spoken before on this pod a few weeks back, haven't I, about this situation, and it didn't surprise me at all that Robertson started last night. I think Kerkez is going to be a phenomenal footballer. He is. His ceiling potential, whatever word you want to use, is absolutely sky high. Just at the moment, I feel positionally he's just a bit off. He gets caught out a little bit too easily in behind him. I would probably go with Robertson on Saturday, I think.
I would probably be the same, Chris, but the only concern I would have is 2 games in a short period for Robbo, which historically has started to show his age a little bit when he's forced to play a lot. But I agree with the points Steve made.
Yeah, I think if I was in the hot seat, I would probably have played Robbo. But I think if that was the plan, Robbo would have come off earlier in on Wednesday. I think Kirkes will play for that very reason, and maybe have a rotation if it was all going wrong at halftime or further on. I think, yeah, as you mentioned, Robertson with his age and with they're probably the most rotatable pair at the moment. When it comes to just like for like, obviously Kirkes has got a lot to learn, but I think, Merseyside derby, it could be chaos, but we'll see. We'll see what Milos turns out like. It might be the making of him.
Who'll play right
on
back,
the
do you
other
think? Yeah. Go on, you beat me to it, Craig. Yeah.
on the other side, I'm just going to wonder, like, Frimpong or Bradley was in the notes, but I guess we got to throw Dominic Szoboszlai, Steve, into the conversation here as well.
I think Szoboszlai might play right back. I think he, like we said a minute ago, undroppable. But McAllister and Gravenberch as a midfield base, I think, is really nice as well. So that's probably where I would be.
I think he's going to go with Frimpong, personally, although I'm a big believer in winning games late when you've got these type of fixtures coming up. And if you did start off with Szoboszlai at right back, I could see the thought process there as well, to give nothing, keep it tight, try to maybe create something from that position. But I just think in his mind, Chris, I feel like Arne thinks that Frimpong is his right back this season.
Don't say winning games late. Can't win another one late.
Not to be contrary,
away, Steve. 81st minute onwards.
not to be contrary, but I think he'll play Bradley. I to be honest, I thought he was really good when he came on yesterday, and I think for a similar reason to what I said about Kirkes, I think Bradley will play on Saturday. Bear in mind, it's only 2.5 days between matches. So it is, it's already the fixtures starting to pile up. Frimpong, I think, is also an ideal player to bring on late. He's so quick and has really good, clarity of mind, whether to go inside or outside. He's a really technically good footballer as well, which I don't think people give him credit for. To be honest, I would have Szoboszlai in midfield. I just think he does have
instead of who?
I'd probably say McAllister at the moment, just because I don't think he's quite fit enough. And I think he showed that yesterday as well. I still don't think he's quite fit enough. But yeah, it's such a difficult one because obviously McAllister was one of our best players last season. So yeah, at the moment, I think it'll be Bradley and then Szoboszlai midfield.
Yeah.
So for your midfield, Steve, what do you reckon?
Well, I don't know. I just, I mean, yeah, that's the situation. Like if it's not Szoboszlai right back, I think he'll play in midfield rather than McAllister. I would have thought, given that it's going to be all blood and thunder on Saturday, isn't it? It's going to be all Everton are in a really good space at the moment. Loads of energy, loads of commitment. They're sort of back to being just like full of beans in their performances, and I think they're going to come and be a really difficult team to beat. And but then on the flip side, with a couple of match winners now, which I think they haven't had in the past, Grealish and Dye, guys like that are genuine match winners. So dear, I'm gonna stick with. I'd have Szoboszlai at right back, and I'd probably have McAllister and Gravenberch. The interesting thing will be whether Isak starts. I probably think he won't, given he played probably 15 minutes more than what they thought last night.
I'm going to say Wirtz plays on the left because for the very reason Steve has just mentioned about them being compact, giving up some wide spaces to get crosses in. And I think that he's capable of going left or right, inside, outside to take on his man. Whereas Cody Gakpo can be a little bit obvious in what he wants to do. So for me, Chris, I'm going to say that Wirtz maybe operates on the left, which would be a midfield of Maka, Ryan and Dom for me.
That'd be really interesting. Yeah, I hadn't really thought that. I still think though Slot very much trusts Gakpo And
Oh, he
I
does,
think,
yeah, definitely.
and deservedly so. And also because he's got a very good record in big games. He scores a lot in big games, Gakpo. And a 12:30 KO, one big moment is gonna probably decide the match in the end. And if it wants to fall to Gakpo at the edge of the box, then I'm okay with that. Because he's proven it over the years he's been here. But yeah, Wirtz on the left would be very interesting. I'd like to see him up against them.
Who's their right back? Who's playing right back for Everton this season?
Frimpong in my team.
No, I mean for Everton this season. Who's been playing right back? Is it O'Brien?
Honestly, I haven't paid attention, Steve. I couldn't tell you.
Whatever. I don't think that whatever it is, if I don't think they're very mobile. Let's just say that. So maybe it'll be Alvin.
I hate this kickoff time, particularly for a derby, by the way. I think 12:30 is nonsense. But to get back to your point, Steve, about who starts through the middle, I've been thinking about this one as well. And for me, I'd start Ekitike because I think, again, tired legs, 20-25 from Isak at the end. Let Ekitike tire them out, as Chris said before, drop into pockets of space, drag full-backs and centre-backs all over the shop. So I'd start Hugo through the middle personally. What about yourself?
I think that's the way it will go. It all depends on whether he thinks Isak's got enough legs to go again from the start. I probably think I'll save him for this one. Give him another training week. Give him 20 off the bench if needed. Yeah, Ekitike. I'm sure that's what it'll be. I'd be so surprised, given that Isak's not had a preseason, not had a game in 4 months. If he's going again 2.5 days later, I'd be amazed.
Well, one thing, Chris, the manager did say was that he was impressed with how fit Isak actually was, and he spoke about the fact that maybe it's his repetition of games in this league that gives him a bit of a built-in fitness over players like coming into the Prem. We've seen him not want to give Wirtz and Ekitike the full 90 yet, bringing them off about 75. So for you, what are you thinking through the middle?
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you guys. I think Ekitike potentially at the moment still holds that position. I mean, the more and more Isak gets fit, I think the more and more he will get involved. It was Nathan Patterson, by the way, that right back that we were trying to think of.
It was O'Brien on Saturday.
Oh, was it O'Brien? Well, there we go.
Jake O'Brien.
Yeah, I think Hugo, in terms of being able to tire people out, he's the guy. He's got seemingly endless energy until he dies after about 60 minutes. It sort of like goes from 100 to 0, doesn't it, with him? But whatever front three Arna goes with, I'm sure it will cause Everton a lot of problems.
So not Liverpool related, but it does impact us. Big game on Sunday. So if we can get the win, we can sit back, feet up, have a little look at what's going on between Arsenal and Manchester City. So what I want to know, Steve, is for you, what's the best outcome in that game?
It's a bit obvious to say a draw, isn't it? I'm going to say, if I'm going to have to choose one team to win, I'd rather Arsenal win, because I don't see Arsenal as being genuine contenders.
But you would take a draw if the draw was...
Yeah, but I'd rather see City drop points. We could be 9 points ahead of City after the weekend. And I think that's just a great position to be in, because I'd fancy our chances of doing Arsenal in a 2-horse race.
For me, Chris, I don't want to draw, because I want either 9 points over Manchester City or 6 points over both of them if we win the game. I think, unlike Steve, Arsenal probably will be our closest title contenders this year. So I'm ruling out the draw and saying, I don't care who wins, somebody can win.
There we go. I think, to be honest, I'm the opposite to Steve. I am worried about Arsenal this year. I just think the players that they've added in are genuine game changers for them. I don't know. I don't feel it with City this year. I'm still not feeling it, and I know it's an absolutely perilous thing to write them off, and I'm not writing them off, but I don't feel it the same that I've been feeling with them for the last 5 years.
Like you are.
Even last year.
If they lose this, you can write them off. 9 points out of 15 drops.
Well, yeah, but they've come from that far back before, and they will do it again. But I still think Arsenal are stronger than them, and I think Arsenal will beat them. But I would rather City won.
Interesting. So before we finish up, just for a little bit of fun, we've now seen all 3 of Liverpool's jerseys for this season released. I treat myself to the black goalkeeper shirt, by the way, which I absolutely recommend. It's amazing.
Lovely.
Steve, if I was to force you to rank the three shirts, the red, the creamy white away, and the green home. What are you saying?
There's one absolutely clear winner. The green is probably the most beautiful football kit I've ever seen in my entire life.
Needs to have the white shorts with it, though. Didn't like that all green.
No. It needs the white shorts. But it was my son's birthday, 10th birthday the other day, and I bought he got the green one with Freddie 10 on the back. It's just a beautiful, beautiful kit. Second, I would take the red one, and third, and this is third in a very high level 3-horse race, I would take the away as third.
So I also got my son I got him the long sleeve green one, and it actually arrived today, and he put it on, and I had tremendous envy the second it was on him because it looked so good with a gold badge and the long sleeves. But Chris, as a man who's sitting there in the away shirts there, what says you?
Well, for me, I can't look past the home. I have to say, it's just because it's so nostalgic for me as a kid, like seeing Torres with that, my first ever hero, long sleeve. That for me, as soon as I saw that kit, I bought it. The green kit is also just absolutely magnificent, isn't it? And I'm going to be buying that. But I've also done the same as you, Craig. I bought the goalie kit because I thought that might go out of stock quicker. That was my sort of logic with that one. I put that second. I put this one last, but most of the seasons, this would be the nicest kit. So I can't really complain. Adidas have absolutely smashed it out the park, haven't they?
I get shot if I bought 4 kits, lads. Actually shot.
Wow.
Well, it's workwear for me, Steve, don't you know?
I ain't got kids yet, Steve. I ain't got to worry about it too much.
I've had this argument with my accountant back and forth a few times, trying to say, no, I'm buying this for work, have to wear it for work. For me, I thought I would be sitting here saying green kit first and then the others, but I've been a small bit underwhelmed with the green kit. I don't know why. I love it. It's gorgeous. But I'm with Chris. I'm going to say red kit being number one, green kit a close number 2, and then the one Chris is wearing, the away kit.
It's the Adidas Originals badge.
And the old crest
and the old
Liverpool
badge as well. It's they've absolutely nailed it.
Where they did let me down though was the training range that came with it, because one, it didn't have the old logo on it, which I really didn't like, the old Adidas logo. I felt the training range along with it just let it down. But is there any other bits and pieces that you guys from the merchandise have liked? For example, I bought myself this tracksuit top because I feel it'll be timeless because there's no accent or anything on it, so I can wear it in 10 years' time.
I think it's all beautiful. I'm so happy that we're back with Adidas. Like I've said before, like my first kits, my first heroes go back a little further than Chris's, but they're still wearing Adidas kits. John Barnes in the late 80s, in the Crown Pates, but then the Candy as well was the first kit I owned, was the first Candy kit. I just love it, absolutely love it, and it's so good to have them back.
The green shirt gives me 86, 87 vibes because the Adidas only goes on the shoulder and then stops. And that, I think, is a lovely little touch as well. I agree with both of you, though. Adidas have absolutely knocked it.
I was also tempted to, I was also very tempted. I would have had a slap if I did, but I was going to buy my missus the sort of green dress thing that they've released. But yeah, I don't think that would have been very popular.
No, that's just.
I bought Sabrina the green kit, and she said, "I don't like it," and I said, "I'm not buying it for you, love. I'm buying it for me." And she very kindly put it on today when it arrived, so I'm very grateful for that one. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for now. We will be back, of course, for another episode next week. Thank you so much to Mr. Steve Bland and Mr. Chris Stonage for giving up their time. Thank you to you guys for watching and listening. We'll talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.